Ladies and gentlemen, so gather round for an in-depth conversation with the Black Opry. Yep. Oh, yeah. So,
coming to the stage. No, just joking. Holly G, come on up here. Joined by Tanner. You can make your way to the stage.
Come on, Tanner.
All right, so, I know y'all all have done this before. Been up here, moments similar to this, or bio. I'm not going to do it. What I would rather do. I hate him. I hate him. But I do know, I feel like I know a lot.
Yes, you do.
And I feel like I've been like kind of at the beginning.
You've been following us since the very beginning.
Very beginning.
Grow.
And I can also say, I do feel, I want to just get this out the way first so I don't forget it. I just want to say, first and foremost, before we do the introduction, how proud I am of what you have built. So let's just celebrate and clap that up first.
Thank you.
I think by now everyone knows we're here to talk about the importance and the institution that is now Black Opry. I'm going to switch in and out of my NPR voice too because I just like it. It just makes me think that I'm really saying something really important when I do that. Voice. So, to my right sits Holly G and Tanner. And what I think Shannon and I discussed that we'll feel we're living room here full of family. We've now spent the entire day together. So let's just talk. Just tell us a little bit about who you are. Give us the bio that you would want us to know.
So first and foremost, I'm a fan of music. That's where I come from. I loved country music. I actually spent some time back in like my early 20s where I was like blogging about hip hop music. And I loved the conversations and I loved to get into like be present around the music, but that wasn't the music that I connected with. And so I just kind of like let that dissipate because my heart wasn't in it the same way. But I've always loved country music. But alongside that, I didn't see myself in it. It wasn't a place for me in it. And I had compartmentalized that. And I was just like, I just have to love this thing from a distance and figure out a way to enjoy it in a way that keeps myself safe. You can't go to country concerts as a Black person, especially by yourself. But after, I know you were talking about earlier, after everybody watched George Floyd get murdered, I had to rethink the way that I was consuming everything. I don't think that it's everybody's responsibility to change the world, but I do think that you're responsible for what you bring into your own bubble. And so I was like, I have to really figure out if the things that I'm consuming are in alignment with my own personal beliefs and ethics and values. And very quickly, if you start diving into the country music world, a lot of that didn't add up with what I believed. And so I started looking for ways to consume country music in a better way. And I just started Googling like Black country music artists, and there were lists of the same 4 people, and that was it. There were no like spaces that specifically focused on our presence in country music. And now I know the history of it. We started it. So it's really like wild to me that there was nothing out there. The only thing I did find was Reese Palmer. This was right before she was getting ready to launch her Apple radio show, Color Me Country. And I found her, I immediately connected with her, and she just kind of like opened up this whole world of artists that I did not know were out there. And one of the things that she said that really like hit me was, if I'm doing this as one person, there should be 5 other people doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing. Because if you look at the way that the mainstream country music industry is set up, there's a million people doing all kinds of things. They have so many platforms and so much access. And the only way for us to get to that point is if there are a whole lot of us doing similar things and all kind of working together and platforming. And that snowballed into me wanting to start a website to just find other Black people just to talk to about country music. And what I didn't know was that I was not the only one. I was very naive to how much community was out there. And I remember when I launched it, I was like, if I can get 10 followers a day on Twitter for the next 30 days, I'll have 300 people to like to talk to, and it'd be really cool. And within 48 hours, we had over 400 followers. And so I was like, okay, well, let me rethink a little bit and see where this is going to go. And I just have kind of let it grow into whatever it needed to be for whoever showed up for it. So,
Okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Tanner.
Tanner, talk to us, Tanner.
Yeah, so I guess my story is a little similar. I didn't start the Black Opry, but I'm running it alongside Holly. But I just know, like, growing up as a kid, I'm a native of Nashville. I grew up in Gallatin, just a few minutes north here. Shout out to Gallatin. But I remember growing up, going to school, getting dropped off, and listening to Jerry House and the House Foundation. And like my mom was consistently listening to country, and that's kind of what I was raised on. And growing up with a single mom, like, I think the thing that resonated with me is around in the 90s when country was so, I guess, like, popular at this time, like females in country was like really, really big. And that to me kind of like showed the strength of how women really create the pivotal movement that we need in the world. And that's just like facts. And so growing up listening to that and being raised by my mom by herself, that really just kind of just connected to who I am and who I identify as. And I always knew growing up that music was something that I wanted to do, but I know in my heart that I cannot sing or play an instrument to save my life at
That was
all.
me
Like,
too.
I can't take a lesson. I played trumpet for about 2 years in middle school. I got kicked out of band because it was just not going well for me. That's how bad it was. But after getting out of school, I went to college, studied pre-physical therapy for 1 semester. And I was like, this is terrible. I can't do this. Like, music was calling me. And so changed my major, did broadcasting for a little bit. And ultimately, right outside of college, I graduated from Belmont, right down the street. Shout out to Belmont. And did some broadcasting for about 3.5 years. And in that moment of doing radio, this was more in a different field. It wasn't in country radio, but in this field of radio I was in, really, really great at my job. I knew that I'm a really hard worker and really determined, but there was something personally just within me where I knew I needed to leave that field. And so I stepped away from the music industry after 3.5 years, just due to personal reasons, and just giving up on my dreams of doing anything musically for a while. And then went to retail for about 5 years now. And then somehow in the crosshairs of what Holly started and Color Me Country launching at the same time.
Actually, I found Tanner replying to one of Reese's tweets, and I was like, oh, a Black man that likes country.
Yes.
We need to be friends.
Right.
And that's how we ended up meeting, was
Right.
through Reese.
Reese is the reason why we know each other to this day. And so she is, very, very, very much the reason why Black Opry is kind of what it is today. And that's how we connected. And through that, I kind of took a chance last year after Holly. We'll get into more details of how this kind of stems, but she basically found some connections last year once she launched a Black Opry House during Americana Fest, and texted me one day and was like, hey, this record label, because she knew I wanted to get back in the music industry. She's like, this label is hiring for this position. You should apply for it. And I was like, I don't know anything about music industry. I just did radio, like, whatever. She was like, just shut up and apply. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I applied for this job, and she vouched for me during this. And so now I'm working part-time at a label, part-time in retail, and then doing Black Opry as well, doing a lot of things. But I'm back in the music industry now at this point due to Black Opry getting formed, due to Holly kind of just sticking her neck out for me. And so I'm just really glad to be with everyone today. I think just looking around this room full of like Black musicians, Black artists, and Black creatives in the music industry, I think is kind of like that reassurance for me itself, just knowing like, okay, like I'm not alone in this, because I think even growing up, and very similar to what Holly said, for a while, it felt like we were the only people wanting to do stuff like this. And now what we've seen is that we are not alone, and people are really, really interested and want to share what we're doing with a lot of other people. So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Right, thank you.
All right, guys. So the burning question: who and what is Black Opry?
This is such a hard question to answer. And I think on one of the panels earlier, one of the panelists had said, like, it's so important to be able to tell people what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we are still discovering and learning about, because like I'm not a trained music industry professional. I got dropped into the middle of all of this, and I am like chasing behind this thing and learning and figuring it out as it goes along. So that's one of the things that we're figuring out. I had a really good conversation with somebody that works in A&R recently, and I realized like we're doing A&R. We have a website where we showcase and platform artists. We have a tour, which we started booking the tour back in December, and we've now booked over 60 dates throughout the country. We're booked all the way up into 2023. We have a collective of artists that we work with. And we also have this really rich community that you guys are so much a part of, and some of the artists here are so much a part of. And we just really, really try to, I feel like my priority is listening to the artists, because as a fan, I want the best music, the best experience, the best shows. And I think the best way to get that is to listen to the artists, give them what they need, make them happy. And a happy artist is going to give you the best experience as a fan. And so that's kind of what we are. It's a movement, it feels like.
Well, you just said something. So let's quantify this with some dates real quick, just for me, because I want to make a point. So you started the blog when?
April 1st of 2021 is when I launched the blog.
Okay. Let's just for my own school teacher and me sake, let's just do this real quick. April what?
April 1st of 2021.
April 1st of 2021. It is now June 7th. What's the day? 21st. Okay, I'm a little behind. June 21st, 2022. A few months ago at City Winery, I was there, celebrated the 1 year anniversary.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to say before we go further, sitting in there that night, if you aren't encouraged by what you saw, I certainly was inspired. And I'm going to tell you, I think that it's a good thing to be able to see tangible progress. What is measurable is sustainable. And to see measurable progress with real numbers. Like I sat in that room, it was the City Winery holds 330 roughly.
I think our ticket cap they gave us was 300, and we did about 274.
Yep.
Hey, y'all clap it up. Let's clap it up real quick.
1 year.
But I want to clap more than just see the numbers in that room in City Winery was one part of a bigger ecosystem that's been the culmination of 365 days worth of work. If nothing else, I walked away with, guess what can be done in a year? If we didn't look at it that night and walk away and think, what will a year from now say about the work that I've done? I can flip that thing 20 more times.
It was actually like really, I got asked a lot around the anniversary, like, what do you want the next year to be? And it was hard for me to visualize or conceptualize it because that wasn't what I expected for the first year. Like I was just trying to like have a blog. So the fact that we ended up at City Winery almost sold out. We had 3 different press outlets. I think NBC, like their national press was there. Their NBC's local press, CMT Hot 20 was there. CMT actually co-sponsored the event with us. We had a red carpet. There were like people showing up that I had seen on TV shows. And I'm like, how do you even know that this is going on? And so if you would have told me that would have been the culmination of the first year, I wouldn't have understood how we got there. But I feel like so empowered now after seeing that. I'm like, okay, we can do that in a year.
I'm glad you
by next year,
well, by next year, but let's just say, I mean, we've already established this started as a blog, y'all.
Yeah.
Really, Black Opry, you said a movement, and I said an institution. And I think a year from now, when we compare between 1 year anniversary to 2 year anniversary, right now it's a conglomerate too, because I feel that you've moved from, I mean, you're a whole machine by yourself. You've moved from just only being blogger, but really you function like label, distributor, manager, booking, public relations. Like it's a full service.
For me, that's what this year is about, is figuring out a way to make this sustainable outside of the mainstream country music industry. because what I have learned is they are not going to budge. We are getting a lot of performative kind of inclusion, but when I take the meetings with the mainstream country music institutions, I'm still looking at all white faces, mostly male faces. And so until I get into a meeting with one of these folks and there are 3 other people besides me in the call, like it's not going to change. It's great that everybody's excited about what we're doing and giving us stages. We just did CMA Fest, and all that is really exciting for the artists in the moment. But I think long-term sustainability is going to come from us building something that doesn't rely on them. And so things like this are so important because I'm able to educate myself and learn from all of you guys, like what is important to the artists. Do we need to do publishing? Do we need to do distribution? Like what is sustainable and what's the best for the artists?
Well, I was going to add this little piggyback on the Black Opera review that you can have. Like, that's what you've done with the review. Like, somewhere you said somewhere. I don't know if you were in your bed or the official conference table, but you came up with an idea that provides the number one thing that artists need, and that's a platform. It's access in front of an audience that draws people to the thing that they've created so they can be heard and found and discovered. And so I think that all of this to me is just so exciting. You know, I could sit here and we could have this conversation for hours. But I think that we should definitely spend some time I feel like that night I heard so many stats I wish we had a whole board of things that have happened as an organization. Artists who've been able to be a part of really amazing things that usually happen after 5 or 6 big records, or being able to be on several television shows and all. Well,
we kind of flipped some things with the way that we do it. So we booked the tour based off of the brand. Mm-hmm. So a venue cannot come to me and say, "I saw this artist and I want to book only specifically that artist." They can make suggestions and I take that into consideration. But if you book Black Opera, you're booking our brand. From that point, it's up to me to curate that show. So I can take an artist that might not have the social media following or the proven ticket sales and put them into a venue that then gives them access to be able to turn around and do that. Like we booked a show, we're playing the Troubadour in LA in November. And I think you have to prove you can, we have a booking agent that does all of this, so I don't know the details, but you usually have to prove you can sell a certain amount of tickets or something before they will even consider you. And they, had faith in us based off of them believing in our brand. So now I get to put 5 artists who it could have taken them 10 years to get to a point where they could play that venue. I get to put them in that venue and launch them further in their career because I know and I believe that they, are ready for that. So,
what's amazing too is that you created the thing that you wanted. You created the thing that you needed and that we needed. But from the fan perspective, that's what's so amazing. As a country music fan, you created the platform that you wish you had and were able to experience this music on. So I think that that's phenomenal as well.
It makes it really exciting. To go, when I go to shows, it kind of blows my mind a little bit because I've been yelling about music forever. I'm one of those people that is sending people YouTube links at 3:00 in the morning, you have to listen to this song. And I know everybody has my notifications muted. So to go to a point where I can now, I'm not sending you YouTube links, I'm putting them on a stage. Yeah. To be able to curate and go to a show that I know that I want to see and then have people show up. Every show that we have played so far, every single solitary one, the people that work in the venue have come up to me and said, "This is the best show we've seen here." And I think part of it is because I'm booking things as a fan. So I'm not looking at it from an industry perspective. I am more now, but the way that my brain curates is what do I want to see on a stage? And I also too, the way we do our shows, we usually have 3 to 5 artists and I pick the artists. I don't think about their music, which sounds really backwards, but I don't. I think about who they are, kind of like you were talking about, as people. And I think who would get along, who would have really good chemistry, who do I know that, need to meet each other for whatever networking purpose. And when you put the artists together based on who that they will bond with, they get on that stage and they blow it out of the water in a way that they would not do if they didn't feel that same connection to the other people that they were performing with. We get a like every show is amazing and feels like community and a family reunion because we're bringing people together off the basis of who they are, and then the music is just kind of like a bonus on top of that.
And when we book those shows, like we'll go into that time to like find artists that are local to that area or that venue as well, just so that way the community that comes out to these shows, they may not know that this artist that lives right there in their community is doing this phenomenal music and has an amazing amount of talent, and they just weren't given an opportunity to do it because they're out there hustling, trying to get their music out there. So when we go and find those people that are close to those venues, we have them come to the show, or even if they're not on the lineup, we have them come to the house and get involved with us, so that way they still can have some sort of community that's being built right there in their city as well.
That's awesome. What's been your favorite experience so far?
I would probably say just because it was the first time that we did this. So I'm going to keep saying it. I listened to the artists, and when we started this in last April, and then Americana Fest was coming up that September, and we reached out to some artists and we said, what do y'all need for this festival? What would be helpful? And they said, well, Americana Fest is really good about giving us a platform. We get to play the show, but we walk off the stage and nobody speaks to us again. We know that there are networking brunches and they, get these houses and go and have lunch, and nobody invites us to this stuff. And so we, together with Marcus Dowling, we got an Airbnb and we said, okay, we'll do it ourselves. So we got an Airbnb and we basically said, anybody who wants to come can come. This is the Black Opry house. So you got to make sure that you are respectful and tolerant of our space, but we're welcoming to everybody. And that was the first time that we had our community in person. And it became this amazing, intersectional experience. We had people from the LGBTQ community and trans artists and all these people from these other identities that showed up and said, they don't make space for us either, but y'all did, so thank you. And I think that was my favorite, especially because we had 30 or 40 Black country music artists that had no idea the rest of them existed in this house. And so they were there. Roberta was saying it was like a sitcom because somebody would knock on the door and you open the door and you would see their face go, where did y'all come from? It was so fun. And that's just been how our community has been ever since. Just so much joy.
That's amazing.
For me, I actually didn't get involved with Black Opera until after Americana Fest, because when Holly and I first kind of started talking and her wanting me to get involved, at first I was like, what is she talking about?
I had to drag him by the ear.
She really did. She was just just trust me, do this. And so I got involved probably back in November, December. But my favorite moment thus far has been during the 1-year anniversary show. It wasn't the show itself. It was very similar to what she said, the house. I think it was the night before the anniversary show. But everyone that was playing the show was pretty much at the Airbnb. And it's so crazy how this happens. Anytime that we have a big show like that, we never tell an artist, we're never hey, go pick up a guitar and play something. We never do that. It just happens naturally out of nowhere. And so I think Tyler Bryant was the one that had picked up the guitar first, started playing Stay Wild, and that's really what got everyone in the zone and everyone started singing it. And we had a jam session that lasted,
probably
until about
4 hours,
3 or 4 in the morning. And then we had to get up and go to City Winery, which was a great experience still, even though we were really tired. But just seeing that, I think it's just what we're wanting to happen is unfolding right in front of us, where we've got all of these artists who have a community and people who see them and hear them authentically to who they are. And hearing their talents was something that I think will always stay in my mind for a really, really long time, because it was such an amazing moment to see that. And then the next day, see that happen on stage at City Winery for a larger audience, just to get a small glimpse of what we get to see in the Airbnb the day before.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really important to us is the country artists like Reese and Miko and Miss Frankie that have been doing this for a very, very long time will tell you that the industry told them there can be one of you guys. So whoever else you see that looks like you is your competition. And they try to pit them against each other. And we have broken that down.
Yeah.
These artists love each other.
Yeah.
They support each other. They go to each other's shows. They share each other's music. They sing each other's songs. At one point during the first house at Americana Fest, Joy Clark had played this song, and she played it like 3 times in a row because they kept asking her to replay it. And she had left to go get something. And when she was walking back in the house, they were playing her song. And that's just kind of the kind of support that they have for each other. And so there can only be one thing that's out the window. There's about 200 of us now. So
I was just about to say, yeah, clap that up for sure. I mean, you started by saying, as a fan, you saw the same 4 names. And you just said how many people?
we have about 200 artists that we have communications with, and there's literally only the 2 of us. So we are trying as hard as we can to get back to everybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's probably more than that, I would say.
Yeah.
Because they're
That's
everywhere.
amazing. Yeah,
Every
that's
time
amazing.
we do a show or on TV for something, like we get bombarded with more people. There's
They-
so many of these artists out there.
So I'm just going to put it out here that coming soon, Black Opry House will have a home that'll be stationary
We hope
and
so.
with, and, part museum, part event space, part. I'm just gonna keep going.
Yes, we want all of it. Yeah,
We'll take it.
it's easier to dream now that I've seen what's possible.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I
That's
definitely.
good. That's a good quote. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good quote. That's a great quote. It's easy to dream now that I've seen what's possible. Where are the artists coming from? Like, where are you finding them? Are they finding you? Like, how?
So when I started out, what I would do is I would literally click country music hashtag on like Instagram, scroll till I saw blackface and stop and investigate. Or I would go on YouTube and search like Luke Combs covers and just scroll till I saw somebody that didn't look like everybody else. So I found the first few of them, but it did not take long. I mean, probably by the 5th or 6th day that I had the website up, they started reaching out to me.
So you're making another point that we can be found.
Oh yeah.
I hear that oftentimes when, especially.
Oh, I still hear that now.
I'm here. No, I don't mean a year ago. I mean, I'm still hearing that presently, like this week. Like, where's the Black talent? Where are the Black? Like, we're here, but it takes a little effort and intentionality.
It doesn't even take the effort. It takes making it clear that you are welcoming to them. That is literally all it takes. And they will come find you. These artists are working hard and they are coming to things like this and having to over-educate themselves because nobody is, they don't
in
have
them.
the same networks and connections. So
But you're building it, so
we're trying to.
all right,
Wow.
good stuff.
What have been or what is your greatest challenge?
You want to start with that one?
I think the biggest thing that has been challenging within this last year is the fact that, again, like we've already shared, we are the only 2 people that are running this, and it is a huge, huge beast to tackle. And outside of Black Opry, kind of just we feel like this is a safe area to share these sorts of things with everyone around us. But Holly and I really don't make really any money from Black Opry. Any money that we get is getting directly to the artist because they are performing the shows, and that's kind of what our purpose is. And so we both work, I work retail, I work at a label, and she does her thing. And so we are still working full time outside of Black Opry. And so it's really hard for us to kind of balance everything. I think the goal here for us is to do that full time at some point, hopefully in the near future. But the biggest challenge is really just finding balance between everything, because we believe in this so much. And obviously the results have shown that with just a little bit of work that we're doing in Black Opry, so much has come from that. But just imagining what we can accomplish doing this full time is going to be, beyond our wildest dreams. And so I think that's kind of right now off the top of my mind, the biggest challenge thus far.
Yeah, I think balance is all around a challenge, especially because I have so many people, and it's insane how quickly we've gotten all so close.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have this such a huge network of people that I consider family, and I just started, but I'm very, very intuitive. And so I can look at a lot of these different things and see exactly what they need. And my instinct is to try to be what everybody needs. And so finding that balance between being able to do everything for everybody and still take care of myself Because before all of this started, my day job, I'm a flight attendant, and I had decided I was never going to work hard a day in my life. I was going to fly on them planes and sit on the beach and read my books and listen to music, and that was going to be it.
Sounds real nice.
Yeah, that didn't go as planned. But yeah, just like finding that balance between like being a person and taking care of myself and my mental health, and then trying to also be what all of these people need me to be. Because it's so much fun. It's hard to put boundaries on yourself when you're having a good time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We need that out of office. That
Yes.
you were
Yes,
singing.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
we need that.
I will copy and paste and send it to you. 'Cause
Yes,
that's a
I
good
do
one.
that.
All right, so final word, Holly. What do you want us to know or walk away with or leave us with? Could be something inspiring that keeps you going, or it could be just what you want. What do you need from us to do? What's the call to action?
Usually, when I get this question, my answer to that is give me money. But this
It
is
is a good
such a
answer.
different room. Like, I would say that anybody here who feels like they have something to offer us, reach out and share that with us. We're very open, and I feel like so honored and privileged to even have anything to share with the people in this room that are so established and experienced. So anything that you feel like is helpful to us, like please get in touch and let us know. And we are so open to receiving all of that. So thank you for having us.
Ladies and gentlemen, Black Opry.
Give us 3 minutes, guys. Don't move though. Don't move.
Oh, don't move. Listen, you're in store for a treat. We have some performances coming up, and you will be pleasantly surprised. So, looking
Okay,
forward to
so
this.
before we get into our performances, we have a special surprise. So we talked a little bit about how we have to have things outside of those mainstream country institutions to sustain our own community. And I think part of that sustainability is celebration. And if you look back at, we get compared to the Grand Ole Opry a lot. So the word Opry is actually just short for opera. It's kind of like using the word cafe. There are Opries all over the country. So we cannot get sued for using it. I get asked that a lot. And our version of an Opry is different and inclusive, and we are looking at the different ways that we can continue to build this as a really important institution within this industry. With that being said, this year we are happy to introduce a new program which honors those who are doing and have done foundational work that supports our mission and the advancement of the industry, and those who make the incredible art that makes our work possible. In the face of an industry that is insistent upon keeping doors closed and refusing to offer recognition to those who represent a more diverse landscape, we realize the importance of creating our own opportunities to honor these faces. While we are excited about the work that we've done and continue to do, we also recognize that we are not the first people to do this work. We happily follow a beaten path carved out by many people who came before us, including two very special artists and organizers, Frankie Staten and Cleve Francis. In the 1990s, Frankie and Cleve, along with the help of and support of their peers, created the Black Country Music Association, in much of the same spirit that the Black Opry was later founded in 2021. In addition to doing the work of being artists, they took on the burden of advocating for other Black artists trying to be seen and heard in the country music industry. It is our honor and privilege to acknowledge their lifetime efforts and achievements by inducting both Frankie and Cleve as the inaugural recipients of the Black Opry Icon Recognition. You come out, TJ.
I just want to say thank you. I want you to keep going on, Jet Holden, Roberta Lee. I want you to keep on. I don't want you to ever look back, but walk forward. And I want to thank you so much, Holly and Cleve. I know you're listening. Thanks to my son. I want to ask everyone to support the Black Opry and ask somebody else to support the Black Opry. All right. God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you.